Blood Money, episode 26, with Attorney Thomas Renz, and we talk about why I'm suing everyone. All right, we're on the next episode of Blood Money, episode 26, and we have Attorney Thomas Renz with us. How you doing, Tom?
I'm doing great, Vem. How you been?
Good. Thanks for coming on our show. We really appreciate you putting the time aside for us.
I'm excited to be here. I mean, I love the work that you guys do. I love that you're pushing out truth and that you're fighting to get this stuff out there. So I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, thank you. So that episode title, "Why I'm Suing Everyone," that's not what you actually said, even though it's in quotation marks. It was inspired by you. So could you tell us a little bit about that topic and why I was inspired to write "Why I'm Suing Everybody" when I think of Tom Renz?
Well, I probably did say that at some point, and it was certainly very true. I mean, I've sued about everybody I could sue, and I'm continuing to. If there's a good faith basis for me to launch a lawsuit against a bad guy that's trying to screw our country, I'm going, right? The problem is this goes back to 2020, right? So we saw the lies that were COVID. We saw the lies that facilitated the greatest imposition on the Constitution in American history, which was a almost nationwide house arrest without due process. I mean, they called it an emergency and they said it was a lockdown and we had to stay safe 14 days to flatten the curve. That was, by most definitions in most states, house arrest. You got to stay in your house. You can't leave unless it's necessary for a necessary thing. That is communist China on steroids. I mean, totally unacceptable. And we still don't have people in jail over that. So we're still going to keep fighting. And until people are in jail over that, followed by the denial of early treatment, the lies, the intentional lies and misleading information put out to convince people that they shouldn't take safe and effective drugs that could be used to treat and heal people, like hydroxychloroquine, ivermectin, vitamin D, zinc, all these different things. The hospital protocols that killed more people, remdesivir, the combination of sedatives and muscle relaxers and opiates that they use to kill people right and left. And then the vaccines that are actually just bioweapons. Until there's accountability for every single piece of that, we keep fighting.
Yeah, so there's a war on natural and effective remedies, it seems like. And this doesn't just start from COVID-19. It starts from, the opiate epidemic, ignoring a lot of the natural remedies, overprescribing opiates, and all of it seems to, lead to death, carnage, addiction. Why is our system like that?
Well, you got to go back. So going back before this, I didn't believe any of that. I thought that was all conspiracy theory nonsense until I started fighting this and going through every single piece of paper you can go through for the last 3 years. And what I found is that the conspiracy theories were actually just facts. They were just facts. And what we had going on was an incredibly effective marketing ploy by a group of very rich people that ran the pharmaceutical industry to mislead people. If the reality is that when you look, if you think about this, so we all sit here and let's take the COVID death jabs out of the picture here. And let's just talk about when I'm sitting there watching TV at night and I see pharma commercial after pharma commercial after pharma commercial. Now, I want you guys that are watching this, I want you all to think about this. When you hear what they're saying, how many of these cure anything? And how many of these are, this may help to treat this? This may help to treat that. And then you get the whole list of side effects. See, the thing is the pharmaceutical companies have learned that if you cure a disease, there's no more money. But if you treat it and continue treating it with something that won't cure it, well, then you make money forever. So they've been incentivized to create treatments that don't cure, that may or may not have side effects, because, we're putting these chemicals in our body that treat these diseases or whatever it is, and they don't cure anything. They're not meant to cure anything, but they're still chemicals and they still react with your body. So the money is on treatment, not cure. And then you look at the vaccine world, which creates long-term, side effects, long-term damage, long-term health problems. And a lot of it doesn't manifest for years and years later And you've got two things going on there. First of all, in Congress's infinite wisdom, they decided to give immunity to these crooks on vaccines.
Mm-hmm.
So the vaccines, you can't really sue them very well in there. I mean, they've got vaccine court, but that's a joke. And then on top of that, the connection between the vaccines and the injuries they cause is difficult to show in court because it takes so many years for some of them to manifest. So now with the COVID thing, it's pretty clear that you get the jab, you get dead. But with many of these vaccines that have been out for years, the side effects can take years even to manifest. So then it's very difficult. And the only way that you could prove that would be with a bunch of very, very expensive long-term studies that the lawyers would normally fund. But because the lawyers can't sue pharma, they can't fund the studies necessary. So the reality is that no one realizes that since the 86 Act, pharma has been poisoning and creating new poisons that are going to kill people so that they can then sell treatments for the diseases they're treating.
And it's just because a lot of people, politicians, people in power are getting paid outrageous amounts of money, essentially to do things that are damaging to their own population. That's
absolutely right. So you have also in the late 90s or mid 90s, we passed a law. It's called, it's colloquially PDUFA, but it's the Prescription Drug User Fee Act. So the FDA, who's supposed to be keeping us safe from bad drugs, under PDUFA, is allowed to take payoffs from big pharma. So this is supposed to be a user fee if you want to expedite review of your drug, right? Mm-hmm. The reality is that what happens is wink, wink, nod, nod. Hey, can you review my drug faster? Followed by, sure, we can review your drug faster for $100 bazillion.
Mm-hmm.
And then they don't bother reviewing it. They just approve it, right? It doesn't matter if it works. It doesn't matter. That's why we keep getting these bad drugs out there. And by the way, once you get done approving it and the FDA gets all this money for it, the officials from the FDA then get hired by the pharmaceutical companies to work for them.
Wow. Which, there should be laws against that sort of thing. I mean, how does something like that slip through the cracks, such an obvious conflict of interest?
Well, they passed, it is a law. It's a law that allows the pharmaceutical companies to buy off the FDA. That is precisely.
But how is something like that even possible, though? It's such an obvious conflict of interest. Am I crazy? I'm not a lawyer, but it seems like
you're dead on. It's absurd. It's absurd. It's the worst law in the books, but that's exactly, and that's saying something. We got a lot of bad laws on the books, but no, I believe it was originally passed under Clinton, and it's like I said, the Prescription Drug User Fee Act. So, by the way, do you think when Pfizer and all these guys were shooting for approval for their death jabs, do you think that the money that we were giving them to get approval for their death jabs didn't find its way back to the FDA for other drugs that they were asking?
Hasn't Project Veritas all but confirmed that, though, or?
It's pretty clear what's going on. Okay, this was one of the biggest money laundering schemes in history. COVID was from beginning to end one of the greatest frauds in human history. The money that was stolen from the working and middle class and given to the elites is mind-blowing. The money that was taken from and printed, we don't even have the money, right? Our federal government printed money to give to these people, and it all went in the pockets of the billionaires and the elites. This was orchestrated. And I actually have another whistleblower. This is the first time I'm announcing this, right? So surprise, surprise, everybody. I got another whistleblower. And I think that we're going to be able to shed some light on what's going on with the elites and how exactly they're tying into this. But this was an insidious operation. And what you need to understand is that these people, they knew exactly what they were doing. It was, we printed money, gave it to the pharmaceutical industry. The pharmaceutical industry gave it back in terms of payoffs to different government agencies and officials, and also to our elected officials who were all running for Congress and all got donations. Did you see? So, I do the radio show on the America Out Loud network on 6 o'clock on Monday through Friday. And It's the Tom Renz Show, and I've been talking about. I decided that if you heard the phrase, or I guess whatever it is, BDE, big something energy. Okay, so I've adopted that as one of the things that I talk about on my show. I get a boot out of it because, Carrie Lake popularized it in my mind, and a few other people, but I like it. It's that tough alpha male energy. I like that. So I juxtapose that with Mitch McConnell. And if BDE is what was shown by Boebert and Gates by standing, and doing what they did, Mitch McConnell is the ED leader of pretty much everything. You can always expect a flaccid response from him. So ED leader McConnell took $1 million from Pfizer for the Kentucky Republican Party, to build buildings and do some stuff. I mean, the guy's a crook. So, these guys, they paid off everybody, including people like ED leader McConnell. All these guys got massive amounts of money and were in the pocket of Big Pharma. And now, Lisa Marie Presley, Hamlin, pick your guy. I mean, we got so many people dying suddenly that I don't even know what to say about it. And, I'm wondering when McConnell's going to start accepting responsibility for. I wonder if he's going to give back those millions of dollars he took from Big Pharma to bend over and take it for the American people.
Wow. I mean, where are we now in terms of this whole COVID situation? I mean, are we at a point where there's like a Nuremberg 2.0 in the foreseeable future? Are we just going to be suing these different organizations? What's the path forward?
Well, I'm of the belief that there's some pretty important things going to come out of some lawsuits I'm involved in. And it's going to open up some stuff. And like I said, to move forward, we're at the point in this fight now where we've won the fight as long as we keep fighting. And, a while back, I shifted gears, right? So when I started, I was literally suing everybody all the time. And actually, at the end of 2021, literally that far back, I had a meeting, private, super secret meeting in a smoke-filled room with all my attorneys that are trying to run the world here. Except for none of that actually happened, except for the meeting, a Zoom meeting with like 4 people. But I like to think I'm important here. But I had a meeting with these guys and said, "Hey, we're shifting gears." They said, "What? What do you mean?" I said, "Well, this fight is won. Now it's about doing everything we can to get the message out to save lives." That's why I really, really started hammering the media super hard. The lawsuits were working. They were creating a chink in the armor, and they got a lot of word out. We were able to develop credibility and to educate influencers. Those influencers did the same thing that the influencers on the other side were doing, except for our influencers were educated and armed with the truth. The other influencers were only armed with money from Pfizer. So our guys with the truth resonated with people. And it was just a matter of getting around the censorship and continuing to build through the alternative media and doing things like this to get the word out. So we continued with lawsuits, and we'll always continue with that. But we also really started focusing on the media. Now, Vem, you and I talked a long time ago, and I explained to you off air, but for the people watching, this fight is lawfare, not law. Okay? Law is what we do in the courts. And in the courts, my role as an attorney is to facilitate the court understanding and applying a specific set of facts to a specific law, or a law to facts. And in that circumstance, my role ethically is never to change the law. It's to interpret where there's ambiguity and to get to true facts. That limits what I can do in the court. In the court of public opinion, it's a different animal, right? I can tell you right now that I believe Fauci's a crook and that we need to investigate all that he did. I can tell you that the Gates Foundation has given more money to more shady places on this than I can imagine, and we should be investigating them. I can tell you that the Rockefellers Foundation was intimately involved with many, many things in this. and that their name happened to be on a couple of government grants related that may or may not have indicated a relationship to them in the development of SARS-CoV-2 in the lab in Wuhan. I can tell you that there's all sorts of people that we need to be digging into and looking into. I can educate the public, and then I can ask our newly minted Republican House to provide actual investigation. Now, whether they'll actually investigate or just do some sort of a garbage thing that's meant to get some headlines, I don't know. But I can. If they don't, guess what? I can talk about that too. Mm-hmm. So, as the truth comes out and as people start realizing more and more, even people like ED leader McConnell and ED co-chair Mitt Romney, and the two root causes of ED in the Senate, which are Murkowski and Collins. Those people are at some point going to have to face their constituents. And it doesn't matter how much election fraud there is. At some point, when people realize how many of their brothers, sisters, mothers, fathers, loved ones are going to be dead from these jabs, those people are going to have to take some action. That's Nuremberg 2.0.
Yeah. I mean, it's inescapable. I mean, if these deaths keep going on, I mean, how do you escape that? You could spend gazillion dollars on trying to censor things. And once it gets to that tipping point, there's nothing that could be done to stop what's coming. Well,
judging from the growth I'm seeing on Twitter and, my Truth Social and some of these other social media platforms, once we got past the censorship, word started traveling. Mm-hmm. And the best part is that now we're able to introduce, I don't know what I think of Musk yet. I'm grateful for what he's doing, though. And I know that right now, because of what he's doing, I'm able to introduce, and through the other people I know who have far bigger platforms than me, I'm able to push all sorts of people to look at alternative media that's the real media. We can all say, look at what we've been talking about for 3 years, and hey, by the way, that health trouble that you're having now, if you would have listened to us instead of the liars at CNN, you would have known about it and not got it.
Yeah, it's a tipping point. I mean, that Malcolm Gladwell, the book, I just feel like it really applies. I mean, we're in for a hell of a tipping point that's coming up very soon. How do we get these like 86, act where it's like basically pharma poisoning the population becomes all of a sudden a legal thing to do when in reality it's such a repugnant act towards our Constitution? I mean, how does something like that get passed?
Well, how it got passed, I don't know that I can necessarily explain other than an awful lot of money and corruption. But in terms of what we do about it, honestly, I think that's a far more important question. Because if we can fix that, then we can prevent it from being passed, right? I mean, fixing's harder than preventing. But the key is what we're doing right here, right? So this show, share blood money. Hey, everybody watching this, share the show, right? The more we wake people up, especially the mainstream, keep sharing. Share it everywhere. Get it to the mainstream. Don't just share it with the people who are already in your room. Share it with people who don't like you and hate what you're saying. We need those people to hear this, right? If we just all talk to ourselves, it doesn't do any good. If we get the word out and we can share what's going on a broad scale, well, that's what changes the game. So the key here now is to continue waking up this great mass of buffoons that kept their heads buried up Fox News and CNN's rear end for the last 3 years, and get them to see that when Fox News took bazillions of dollars from the federal government to push their pharma products, and when the various hot Fox News hosts that took buy-offs so that they'd keep their mouth shut did that, what they were really doing is they were selling you down the toilet. So you got to ask yourself, are you now going to say, okay, I trust those guys and keep listening, or are you going to move on? I said, listen to this show, listen to my show, listen to these other shows, get those out.
Yep. This is why we started America Happens, by the way. Blood Money exists on the America Happens platform. we got a lot of talented people that we're either producing shows with or we're going to be producing shows with, because it's inevitable. These CNNs, these Fox News, MSNs, these guys are all going to go out of business eventually.
Yeah, well, they have to. I mean, listen, it's not news, right? It's paid advertising. And, I got a lawsuit for that I'm going to eventually get to. The thing that you started out with, and I think this is actually for me really important. I just put a Substack out on this. You started out with suing everybody, and I want to tell you that one of the things that's happening now is I need to sue more people, a lot more. But what we realized along the way is that I'm one guy, and I can either file, and have 2 or 3 very, very massive suits going at one time, which is about the max that, when you start talking about major suits that are national, international level, you can handle 1 or 2 at a time, maybe 3. When you start talking about so I can do 1, 2, maybe 3 cases, or I can work with and coach and help and provide information and support to maybe 50 lawyers for 50 cases. So it becomes something that it's become very clear to me that what I need to do is help other lawyers do more. And so I'm doing that. I'm trying to hire more. I'm trying to expand. And the good people of this country have been just an absolute blessing. I mean, I've got some of the best supporters on the planet. I praise God for them. They just through donations, because I almost never bill for my time. I've been working for basically free for people for almost 3 years. I mean, there's a couple people that have paid me this or that, but very rarely do I bill anybody.
Wow. And I mean, this is the price that freedom fighters have to pay. I mean, a lot of people are going into their own pockets trying to fight this fight. Why aren't there, and why haven't there been other lawyers fighting this fight? Is it simply because they don't want to go up against a very powerful system and a group of people?
It's that plus what I just said. There's no money. So let me tell you what I'm doing, Vem. And I just, like I said, I just put this out on the Substack. The fight's always been lawfare, not law, legal, political, PR. It means that all 3 have to run. So right now, so Renz is doing the podcast, and he's doing the Renz rants on Rumble, and he's doing we're going to be doing more of those. In fact, I'm going to be talking to you about those. But we're going to be doing we're doing the radio show, doing all these different things. Well, why? Well, my goal is we've got TomRenz.com, and we actually put some sponsors up there, and I hope people will support that. The idea is to make enough money that I can fund the lawyers. I would like to pay for these lawyers to work for me and, be able to do and take more cases so that we can keep fighting this. The reality is that some of these cases, if you build the actual cost of these cases, lawyer rates, you're looking at $5 million plus. No normal person can afford that. Yeah. So what I want to do is I've got the Give, Send, Go, and I've got my Substack, and people keep subscribing and supporting. That's great. But I also want to start pushing products and things like that so that I can use it to fund this, right? Because if I wanted to, I could bill for my time as a lawyer, but no real person could afford that. And then I can't fight the fight. And that's all I care about, right? All I care about is our freedom. So I've got to do it other ways. So like we're kind of shifting, and the advantage to this is first of all, I'll be able to get the word out more often on what's going on. And second of all, people can actually get value for giving money outside of me just fighting for their freedom, which I hope is valuable. But they also, if you're going to buy gold and you go to bh-pm.com and you'd say, Ren sent me, well, then I get a commission off of that. And then I use that and I pays for the fight, right? So that's kind of the logic that's going on, but it's it's really a next phase in fighting, because it doesn't exist. What I'm doing doesn't exist. There is no army of patriot lawyers out there that are just waiting to do what's right for the sake of doing what's right. Yeah. I need to create a business entity that's functional, that can support that, so that we can make sure that we're safe now and in the future. And that's what this is about.
Where could people donate to you? Is it renzlaw.com?
You can go to renz-law.com. You can go to tomrenz.com. Tomrenz.com is where we got the sponsors. We've got video, media, all that stuff goes on both TomRenz.com and Renz-Law. Sponsors are up on TomRenz.com. We've got a Give, Send, Go that's on both, and we've got a Substack that's on both. And if you subscribe to that Substack, that's really helpful as well. I mean, I hope people listen to the radio show. I hope they check out the Renz Rants, and I hope that they will support our sponsors and all that stuff. I mean, but we're trying to make it as easy as possible for people to support us so that we can expand the fight exponentially. Because, I mean, we got fraudulent elections. We've got, the southern border, the human trafficking. We've got the energy crisis, the food crisis. We've got corruption at the DOJ. We've got corruption. Basically, the entirety of Washington is corrupt. We've got all these different things. And you know what? There's a lawsuit for all of them.
Dr. McCullough, by the way, had a really great line in one of our past podcasts. Sorry to interrupt you, but he said, Everything is corrupt, everything's broken. So that was his line, and that pretty much goes across all government branches, industries. I mean, yeah.
Yep. So we just need to, that's my next. That is the big project right now, is taking the fight from everything that one guy can do and making everything one guy can do to support 50 guys that are doing it, or 100 or 1,000. You give me an army of lawyers and you allow me to pay them enough that they can earn a living and take care of their families, and you're going to see an army at war.
Yeah. Now, I just want the viewer to know, fortunately, Tom and us at Studio 17, including myself, Travis, Andrea, we've hung out with you quite a bit. And one thing that I want the viewer to know is that you live a very humble life. I mean, there's a lot of people trying to collect money for all these nonprofits. And, you look at them, they're wearing a little too much jewelry, driving fancy cars, being chauffeured around, taking private jets, and all this stuff based upon the hard-earned mom and pop dollars. I haven't seen you do that. I haven't even seen you be tempted by that kind of behavior.
No. I don't care about that stuff. I mean, I got my pickup truck that I love.
And with a dent on the side, by the way, where I saw that dent happen myself,
but I love my truck. I suppose if I had like $1 bazillion, I'd buy a bigger TV, or something. I don't know, something. I work out. I love that, but I already pay my gym dues, and I love my gym's a throw the weights around and scream type of a place. So they don't overcharge me, and it's a great place. So, I mean, listen, as long as I can take care of my family and live a good life, I don't really care about the money. I want the money to fight the fight, right? I mean, what I care about is not really, I suppose, years ago, I got to fly on a private jet a few times, and I suppose that's neat, but I just don't care, right? I mean, if I had the money for anything like that, I'd probably get a pilot's license and fly myself around, because I think that would be really cool. But I don't really care about any of that stuff. It's just, as long as my wife can afford to go shopping, and I can buy my kids Christmas presents, and I live a decent life, I don't have any interest in being a bazillionaire.
Yeah, I mean, you started this fight very early on, and it's been quite difficult on you, right? Because you're one of the few lawyers around this country that people could actually call for help when, let's say, their loved ones being pulled on remdesivir and these what's been called these hospital death camps.
Mm-hmm.
You're fielding a lot of those calls by broken-hearted family members.
Yeah, there was a period of time that I think was probably one of the hardest times of my life, and that's saying something, because I've been through some stuff. But there was a period of time where I just 50,000 calls a day and emails and messages, pictures of families and family members whose loved ones, people dying in beds, people this, people that, hey, can you help me? We just want to try ivermectin. They've said there is nothing else we can do, but they won't let us try it.
Mm-hmm.
And, it kind of, the answer was, well, there's a chance I might be able to help you. It's not a great chance, but there's a chance. And I did help some. But there were a lot that I couldn't. And there were a lot more that I couldn't even try, because there were so many hours in a day. And during that
Mhm.
period, I mean, I don't even know how long it was. It seemed like forever, but it was horrific because I didn't sleep ever. I mean, that was probably the least sleep I've had in my life. And for anybody that knows me, they know I don't sleep much. I work a lot. That period was a whole nother level. And it was, I mean, I was just, it was overwhelming to see the pain and the heartache. And at the end of the day, that's why I don't have the capacity to let this go. And now, you know, it's shifted. I don't get as much people being murdered in hospitals, although that does happen. Now I'm getting more, hey, I'm just wondering, you know, my kid's developed a heart problem, and you know, it's 7. My kid's 7. You know, we just here in Ohio, about half hour, 40 minutes from me in a little town called Huron, had a kindergartner die suddenly.
Wow.
No
Wow.
cause of death released. And, you
Yeah.
know, I'm going to tell you, so right now, boy, I'm sorry, you touched something that's going to fire me up, but I got a whole lot of expletives, so I'm trying not to say. These people that did this, you know, they push the idea that somehow I shouldn't ask about the vaccine status of a 7-year-old or a 6-year-old that dies suddenly because it might hurt someone's feelings. Let me tell you what, you mother somethings asked my
Curse away, bro. These people are murdering children. They're
You're
staying
damn right they
silent.
are. You're
You
damn
know,
right.
it's like
They
fuck
asked
them.
my
Fuck them.
vaccine status to go to a damn restaurant. They asked my vaccine status to go to a gym. They asked my vaccine status to keep a job to feed my family.
Mm-hmm.
They asked my vaccine status for things that are completely meaningless, even though Pfizer admitted that they never did a study to see whether the vaccine stopped transmission.
Mm-hmm.
Even though Fauci and every one of these dirty, dirty bastards knew that this doesn't stop transmission, knew it. They knew it from day one. They lied. When they told you got to take this to protect grandma, they were lying through their teeth and they knew it. We've got the
Mm-hmm.
evidence. We've got the paperwork. We've got everything we need. Their words, not mine. They knew it.
Mm-hmm.
And now, when there's a legitimate public health reason for me to say to you, were you vaccinated? Was your little baby 5-year-old that just died suddenly of a heart attack, was she vaccinated? You tell me it's insensitive?
Yeah.
That's
They
all.
can't even keep up with making coffins for children. In history, there has never been something like this when there's so many excess deaths, and they just seem to be brushing this under the rug. Cause unknown. I mean,
yeah, cause unknown. That's the biggest load of crap I've ever heard. These people are murderers, and they're, you know, listen, I don't like the death penalty. I'm not a death penalty guy. I believe that life is something I can't create, and so I shouldn't take. But I'm going to be honest with you on this one. I'd probably go after it real hard for some of these guys.
I mean, if an example is not made of these people that knew they're murdering people, children, an example is not made that is there for the entire world to see, this is going to happen over and over and over again.
I'm thrilled to see that some of these guys are coming out and saying, oh, you know, we should consider pulling this stuff off the market. Okay, listen, if you're an ACIP member, if you're a member, if you're one of the people from the FDA who are evaluating this, do not tell me, well, Moderna didn't tell us. Bull crap. It's your duty. It's your responsibility to know what you're doing and to dig into this. You thought you could cover it up and get away with it is why you didn't ask about it. You thought that you could use plausible deniability. Now you're going to play CYA? Now, when everybody's dying, when these children are going to be dying or have lifelong health problems, you're going to play CYA and say, oh, I'm so mad Moderna didn't tell me. Bull crap.
Yeah.
Bull crap.
It's your job. It's your job.
Negligence at minimum. At minimum in many states. It depends on these people. You want to talk about RICO? This is RICO on a whole nother level.
All day and night. Yep.
The only reason that I haven't filed the RICO case on this, on a lot of this, is that I would need a team of about 100 lawyers and about 500 paralegals to do it because it's that complex. This is so damn complicated with so many crooks and moving parts that it's going to take decades to get it all done. But I will
And
tell you what,
it could be done so much quicker, by the way, if these DAs had the guts and courage. I mean,
they don't.
In our county, we have a $500 million DA department.
Yeah.
$500 million. They have all the financial access to launch these lawsuits, but nonetheless, the Thomas Renzes of the world have to sit here and figure out how to get a team of 100 lawyers when every single county has the ability to launch these lawsuits.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that, you know, I'm pretty proud of what we've been able to do with the resources I've had, which are basically none. Thank God for Make Americans Free Again. You know, but for MAFA and some of the other groups that have supported me, I'd be in, you know, even bigger trouble. And more importantly, thank God for all the patriots that have helped me. Mm-hmm. But you know, these guys should be facing Nuremberg 2.0. And you know, here's the good news. Here's the real good news. I'll be 46 years old in 10 days, and I'm unjabbed, so I got a few decades left. Keep fighting, brother.
Yeah, you know, I don't want to. This is a very dark topic, but what is the death count right now? As of today, how many people have died because they weren't allowed effective alternative remedies that are tried and tested?
I know that if you listen to the WHO, it's over 7 million from COVID, and that doesn't count how many were killed from the vaccine or the lockdowns. So, you know, there's no real hard number. You know, my guess is that there's probably been over 1 million people globally that have died from the vaccines. You know, I mean, I think that's a pretty conservative number, realistically. I mean, we had whistleblowers.
Sorry to interrupt you. So that's people that have died from the vaccine as a side effect. What about the people that didn't take these highly effective therapeutics and died because of remdesivir or whatever other reason? What do you think that number is at?
Well, like I said, you know, we've seen this. So COVID has a 99.9% recovery rate in most of the population and has a much higher recovery rate if you're treated. So, you know, I would say that realistically, and I've looked at the epidemiology on this, and I'm not, you know, at the level of a Harvey Risch, Peter McCullough, but I've got a good basic understanding, you know, master's level understanding of epidemiology. And I will tell you that I believe that of the 7 million plus people that have died from COVID, I mean, I think it would be a fraction of a percentage of those that would have died had we actually implemented proper treatment and early treatment instead of what we did.
That's what Dr. McCullough said. He said between 90 to 95% would have been saved. If we're talking about 7 million people, we're talking about over 6 million people that died unnecessarily because Fauci was too corrupt to allow these tried and true remedies.
Yeah, well, it wasn't. Let's be real clear what happened there. It wasn't that he was too corrupt to allow the tried and true remedies. It was that he was bought off to prevent them so that they could instead push these vaccines, which were going to create death and lifelong health problems for everybody. And more importantly, let's not overlook what was going on. Now, there was a story back when I was, you know, censored everywhere, which I still am, but, you know, with Twitter and some of the alternative media, I'm getting it out there now. There was some stories early on. The PCR testing, you know, the DNA, the genetic data that was gathered to that, a lot of it was sold to China already.
Wow.
So let's not overlook the fact that this whole thing, in part, was as much about the experiment and data gathering as anything, right? To truly create advanced bioweapons, you got to have genetic data. Because you want to be able to create, if you're China, if you're the World Economic Forum sponsored labs in China, and you're going to create bioweapons that you want to, you know, that you're going to unleash that kill all sorts of people. Well, you don't want them to kill you. So you want to engineer it, right? And there's a lot of conspiracy theory about this. But what we do know is whether or not that's conspiracy theory, that, you know, I'm speculating. But what is not conspiracy theory is that they were collecting and selling genetic data. Why? Why? Why did they do that? Why did they keep the vaccines under EUA, other than so that they could continue modifying what's in the bottle? Which there's a lot of evidence, hard evidence, stuff that I can show you on paper, that these vaccines have changed their formulation about a bazillion times. It was an experiment. This was the largest experiment in human history. They needed to gather data on gene editing and gene therapy. Klaus Schwab has admitted that that's one of the goals. Yeah, the world.
So, where does that lead, though? I mean, now that they have that data, what's their next kind of sinister plan now that they have all this data?
Well, I mean, I'd be guessing to say, but I mean, if you listen to, I mean, so we've got clips of Klaus Schwab, the head of the World Economic Forum. Okay, we've got clips of him saying the fourth industrial revolution is not about changing what you do; it's about changing you. Because if you take these gene editing technologies, they change what you are.
Yeah.
Okay. So he's talking about changing humanity, I guess. I don't know. I mean, we'd have to ask him. But we know that these guys are pushing this stuff. We know that there's just many, many billions, if not trillions of dollars backing this stuff. The question is, what are they doing, right? So we got Davos coming. I don't know if it's going on yet or not. You know, they all flew their private jets over there to tell us about climate change. All these guys are supporting this, right? I mean, they're going, by the way, I think we should all be asking ourselves, why is it okay to go to Davos, where you've got one of the lead advisors for an organization, the World Economic Forum, who Yuval Noah Harari, who has made statements that blatantly said that Jesus Christ and God are fake news. He said that it's too bad, he said, and I'm paraphrasing, that it's too bad Hitler and Stalin didn't have this technology. Think of what they could have did. They would have been so much more successful. We've got a guy who is a known Nazi sympathizer, based on his comments, who is the lead advisor for this group. And yet we've got, you know, nobody's calling people out for going to listen to this. This whole institution, this whole World Economic Forum should be absolutely just wiped off the map. Anybody touching Klaus Schwab, Yuval Noah Harari, or anybody else should have the same anti-Semite questions asked of them that were asked of, you know, Kanye after he made
Kanye West. I mean, you know,
it's not okay to make good comments about Hitler.
It's
not okay. The guy was, you know, I mean, he was a monster. If you're supporting Hitler, I don't support you. If you're supporting Hitler, you're a monster. You're sick. And I don't care that Harari.
Are you talking about Kanye or Klaus Schwab, by the way?
Huh?
Are you talking about Kanye or Klaus Schwab?
Well, I'm talking about Harari.
Oh, Harari. Yeah. Here's a his statements. Got you.
Yeah. Harari. I mean, you know, this guy's out there talking about Hitler. Yeah. And, you know, if only Hitler had the you know, he's talked about Goebbels. I mean, he's literally studied these guys, and it's interesting because he's Israeli. So, I mean, he's not Jewish in faith. He's an avowed atheist. But you know, I mean, I don't care where he's from. He's still a monster.
Yeah, most definitely a monster. I mean, we have a whole government apparatus in the Western world that seems to be following the direction of these folks. And it seems like these folks, I mean, at this point, it's pretty obvious. Again, I referenced Dr. Peter McCullough, where in his book, he writes about how we have to pay attention to public utterances. And in some of these public utterances, a lot of the folks that you talked about have talked about essentially committing the greatest genocide holocaust in the history of humankind by reducing the population by, like, I don't know, 95%. Why aren't these people being tried for crimes against humanity when their plan is to kill basically 95% of the U.S. Of the world population?
Well, you know, the neat thing about that is the way that you watch these guys play this, right? So they say, well, that's conspiracy theory. You can't prove that we want to do this whole population control thing.
I mean, Bill Gates said it. He said vaccines are going to help to control the world's population. So, I mean,
I know. And then they tell you it's conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Here's the beautiful thing about it. While they're telling you that what they said is a conspiracy theory, you can say, okay, that's fine. Let's talk about what you did. Well, you've pushed, and here's the evidence, right? Because we got all that. I mean, okay, so let's say that what you said doesn't count. Let me show you what you did. You pushed something that you called a vaccine, even though it wasn't a vaccine, it was a gene therapy, and you had to get the crooks that you bought off in the federal government to tell you it was a vaccine and redefine vaccine illegally, so you could get away with this. And then you assisted to push this around the world, even though you knew that this gene therapy was untested, unproven, and was likely to kill all sorts of people. Let's look at your actions. I don't need to even look at your words. I don't even need to do that. I can look at what you did, and I can look at the guy that lives next door to me and got 14 jabs and is now facing all sorts of health issues. I can look at the people down the road from me whose child just died. I can look at the people the other way down the road, whose grandma, grandpa, brother, sister just died. Pick your person, right? I mean, you can see it in your own life. You can see what their actions were. So you can call it a conspiracy theory. You can play PR all you want, but guess what? We're living it. We're now living the nightmare that we talked about. And here's the thing. They're looking at putting mRNA in the food supply. Malone wrote about that, and he's dead right about it. And this is something that's not debatable. We know this, right? We know this. Like they've told us we got the paperwork. They're going to put it in the food supply. It's in the blood supply. It appears that mRNA vaccines may or may not be, depending on when you got them and a whole bunch of things, that it's possible that there's some sort of transmissibility through sexual contact and or shedding. Listen, Pfizer had to do a gene therapy shedding study as part of the conditions for their approval of Comirnaty that they didn't actually make. So there's all sorts of evidence on all this stuff. We've got all these different things. The real question is, what are we going to do about this total disaster that we created? So we've got to put these guys in jail and hold them accountable, but there's also what are we going to do about the big mess we've got?
I mean, on a global level where people are dropping like flies, what do you do? I mean, we have to come up with some kind of therapy that minimizes the damage of these vaccines, which I'm sure they'll love to sell too, by the way.
The World Economic Forum thinks the solution is to implement central bank digital currency and to control you even more, because, what they've done so far has been so good for humanity. I know that I certainly want to trust them to control me even more.
Seriously.
So,
Seriously. We talk about this all the time. It's time to build farms. It's time to build new cities. It's time to disempower these individuals, have your own food supply. They can't poison your own food supply. I'm sure they'll try to come after us for growing our own stuff too. They've already started a little bit of that, but once you're growing your own stuff, it makes it a lot harder for them.
Yep. The more independent you are, the harder it is to be controlled. But it's ugly right now. And we're winning. The COVID fight is winning, and if we keep it up, we will win. But the problem is the amount of damage that's already been done. And another thing we got to think about is, okay, we're winning, but we need to really desperately make sure that we also look at the rest of the fight and take the reality. As people start waking up to the reality that they've been lied to, poisoned, and killed for God knows how long. Well, we need to remind them, hey, you thought this was a conspiracy theory, and I'm glad you're waking up. Remember what we told you about the fraudulent elections? Remember what we told you about the energy and the economic crisis? Remember what we told you about central bank digital currency? You didn't believe us.
9/11,
Well, you didn't believe us when you got the jab. You thought we were conspiracy theorists. How many times do you got to find out we're right before you start listening? That's what we got to do.
This is the thing that, in conversations with some of the folks we interview, one of the most brilliant ideas I think I heard is, they try to divide us with black and white, right? Right now, we have a situation where these government institutions, especially the FBI, is so out of control. The black population has been seeing the corruption of this FBI for a real long time. There's a lot of examples in the 60s and 70s of members of the Black Panther Party being basically murdered by the FBI. a lot of other stories you hear. There's accusations that drugs and cocaine and crack and all that stuff was brought into the certain neighborhoods in the early 80s by the CIA. There's also evidence behind that in terms of people that have come forth. It would seem like the perfect time for these different victim populations to unite and really get rid of these corrupted institutions that have caused harm to Black and white. What do you think about that?
I think they need to be gone. I mean, most of the bureaucracy in Washington needs to be gone. I mean, there's no way our founding fathers would have been okay with what we have right now. No way. This disaster that we have, legal, regulatory, all this stuff, the corruption is beyond words. And the only way to really get this underhand is to get rid of most of the regulatory structure in Washington. DOJ has to be remade from ground up. FBI, there should be no federal law enforcement. I mean, that's a state issue. At best, what there should be is a federal coordinating body, to facilitate, coordination of information and knowledge. But, I mean, we were structured with most police power being left in the hands of the state for a reason. A federal police force is always something that they've known to be a nightmare, and that's been proven true since the FBI's inception. CIA and the intel agencies who act with complete impunity and are leveraging what's essentially a bio war and psychological warfare on the American people. And yeah, I got the paperwork to back that up. I mean, the Patriot Act's got to go. We've got to have, the idea that we're going to allow intel agencies to work against the people of this country with impunity and no one to oversee them other than a corrupt FISA court. That's insane. That's absolutely insane.
Yep. It's crazy. I wanted to bring up the in closing. I know you got to run today, and there was other questions, by the way, I had about the voter fraud issues, and I would love to have you back on the show at a future date to keep picking your brain because you're such a fascinating person. The question I wanted to close off with is there seems to be various instances in recent history with transfers of wealth happening, right? 9/11 is one that comes to mind. That there, again, there was a lot of things happening behind the scenes, and it doesn't seem like we know the full story about that, right? And then you have recently Tucker Carlson talking about the JFK assassination, the CIA being involved. I mean, seems like that's pretty certain that the CIA was involved. Doesn't all of this, especially with the JFK assassination and subsequent events with these conspiracies and open-ended, kind of events where we still don't know the answers to exactly what happened, doesn't that indicate that really we've been kind of under unlawful rule for like a really long time now, like 60 years?
Well, I mean, the government's been working against the people for a long time, but the price of freedom is and always has been eternal vigilance, and we haven't paid it. So when World War II happened and our guys came home, we had a whole bunch of patriots that were ready, willing, and able to fight. But, that's on the heels of the Great Depression. The Great Depression was really something that was used to usher in a whole new age of just garbage. I mean, the New Deal, all these different things. It really was a transitional period in American law that facilitated government going from, what it was intended to be, which was of, for, and by the people, to over the people. And we've lost sight of the fact that these guys work for us. They've lost sight of it for sure. And think about J6, right? So you've got just an endless investigation by the biggest corrupt pieces of garbage on the planet. Totally fraudulent. They wouldn't show us the evidence. They wouldn't show us anything. It was all hidden behind the scenes.
How is that even law? How is that even? I mean, how could they even look at themselves as a credible party under law when they don't show evidence?
They broke the law. There was nothing legal about what they did, in my opinion. But anyway, so they do all this, war against the American people, and they call it sedition. They go after Trump. They do all these things. I have not heard Merrick Garland, the biggest POS AG in history, say a single word about sedition, treason investigations for people who pushed a vaccine that wasn't a vaccine knowingly, covered up, hidden, and allowed it to kill millions of people and to create health problems on a global scale. I haven't seen a word from him about investigations into the criminality of creating a bioweapon, which I would say, which SARS-CoV-2 was created in a bioweapons lab in China, right? The Wuhan lab has known ties to the CCP and the Chinese bioweapons facilities. We have evidence that they created it, that the DOD and everybody was involved. I have nothing from Merrick Garland suggesting that he's doing any criminal investigation of that. 7 million people dead. The corruption, the nonsense that's occurring. I mean, this is just on another level. There is no lawfulness. It's all politics. It's all money. It's all power. It's all control. And these people have totally lost sight of who they answer to. But they've done it because we, the people, have slept too long. We haven't leveraged our power. We let them embarrass us into silence. Oh, well, you're a conspiracy theorist. Oh, I guess I can't talk anymore. You know what? I proudly wear, how about this one? Christian nationalist, right? I'm a Christian nationalist. That means you're a terrorist. Guess what? I'm the proudest Christian nationalist on the planet. And I announced that the second they started pushing this. And I said, which part of that do you dislike? The part that tells me that I follow a guy who says that I should forgive, love, and appreciate and treat people with respect? Or the part where I support a country that freed slaves, created suffrage, and has developed more economic prosperity than any other country in history on a global basis? Which part do you dislike of my Christian nationalism? Piss off. You know, I'm done with this. And this is what they do, though. They can, ooh, you're a Christian nationalist. Well, I don't want to be called a Christian nationalist. I do. And we, the people, have to retake that power, because if we can't take getting called a name, then how the hell are we going to stand up to real tyranny?
People that talk about things like Christian nationalists have no idea about world history. They have no idea about what's happening anywhere other than their backyard. Because really what's been going on in the world is that the Christian populations have been reduced over the course of the last 150 years. If you look at the map of the Middle East, the Near East, Asia, literally 90% of the Christian population has been erased from those regions.
Well, and then you've got people like this POS Pope that, I'm Catholic and this guy is not my Pope, you know, who's, you know, trying to get rid of any true Christian people that believe in Catholicism as it was, you know, founded. And, you know, he's trying to remake it into this globalist, tyrannical piece of just trash. You know, it's just, you know, it's under attack everywhere. But we, the people, stand together or we fall alone.
Exactly. Tom, this is amazing. It's always awesome to speak with you. These interviews could be like 4 hours long. So I would love to have you back on, because there's a lot more I'd love to chat with you about. Do you want to quickly mention your website again for people to donate for the very worthy cause of building these legal teams and fighting the tyranny?
Yeah, please go to tomrenz.com, buy from our sponsors, support our Give, Send, Go and our Substack, share it, get it out there, follow us on Twitter, True Social. You know, just help us get the word out. We got our Renz rants that we're doing on Rumble and elsewhere. I mean, we're doing everything we can to get the word out, to fight the fight. And the more that we've got in terms of resources, the more I can do in terms of fighting.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you. This is an American hero, Tom Renz. Please check out his website, and please join us for the next episode of Blood Money, which will be posted on americahappens.com within the next 48 hours. We got a lot of great guests coming next week, and I look forward to seeing you guys watching this show. A lot of great content coming soon. Thank you so much, Tom, and we will hopefully see you soon.
Thanks, Val.
Thank you.